Hello everyone, I'm Don Arleth and welcome to Flash News. We begin tonight with the approval of the Polish national budget for next year. It is projected that the current deficit in 2021 will amount to 80 billion zlotys, largely due to the impact of the coronavirus in 2020. Next year should be a bounce back for the economy with large economic recovery and all social programs staying intact.
Next year, the Polish State Fund is to receive over 400 billion zlotys and the expenses will amount to over 480 billion. The deficit of 82 billion zlotys results from the support package for entrepreneurs and favorable changes in the tax law for them. There will be a loss in the state budget, yes, but again we believe that this will translate into faster economic growth, a faster exit from this crisis after the coronavirus. This in turn will contribute to a better situation for the entire business sector. One of the beneficial tax changes will concern the so-called Estonian corporate income tax. Entrepreneurs will not pay this tax as long as they reinvest money in the company. More companies will benefit from this than originally planned because the turnover limit has been doubled to 100 million zlotys a year. Next year, Poland is supposed to return to the growth path after the coronavirus slowdown. This year, we will probably have one of the shallowest recessions in the European Union, but next year we will be coming out of it. The public debt, although increasing, will remain at one of the lowest levels among the large EU countries.
Europe continues to struggle with a second wave of coronavirus. Poland has also seen an uptick in new cases, but the number is lower than other European counterparts. The Polish Ministry of Health has announced 1,306 new cases in the last 24 hours, and 516 patients have recovered.
Most infections were reported in Greater Poland region, where 200 people were diagnosed with COVID-19. Apart from Greater Poland Voivodeship, this epidemic is still progressing in Poland as it has been since the beginning of September, that is minor cases and small hotspots. The spokesman of the Ministry of Health ensures that specialist hospitals do not run out of beds or ventilators for the infected ones. There are 130 out of 800 ventilators in use, with a total of over 11,000 patients in all hospitals. In the fight against the virus, the main principle, DDM, disinfection, distance and mask, is in the opinion of the epidemiologists very crucial. Perhaps now our future fate is at stake. Perhaps how we behave now will influence how many cases we will witness in November and December. In Poland, 2 counties are in the red zone, 19 districts, including Sopot, in the yellow zone. This week, the Ministry of Health will present a list of additional restrictions in the red and yellow zones.
Worldwide, the number of deaths from the coronavirus has exceeded over 1 million, and total infections has topped 33 million people. The United States leads the world in total deaths, crossing the grim 200,000 threshold mark. Europe is also struggling with the pandemic, with most new cases being reported in France. Here are the details.
There are so many new cases that hospitals in Paris and Marseille are postponing some planned operations to save space for coronavirus-infected patients. The authorities are introducing further restrictions. You cannot sit on the terrace, you cannot sit inside. I am waiting actually only for customers who decide to order something home. Sharp restrictions were also introduced in nearly 100 cities in Spain. In part of Madrid, residents are only allowed to leave their homes if they go to work, to school, to see a doctor and to do shopping. We must act with full determination. We must take control of the epidemic in Madrid. In Spain, more than 31,000 deaths due to COVID-19 have already been confirmed. This is the highest number in Europe. Almost 17 million people, a quarter of the UK's population, are already subject to tougher restrictions. The penalties for breaking the rules of isolation were also increased. Those who refuse to undergo quarantine at home can be fined up to £10,000. Chancellor Angela Merkel expressed concern about the dangerous trend of new COVID-19 cases in Germany. She also called on the state authorities to take immediate action to prevent the collapse of the healthcare system and another economic freeze. Last Saturday, Germany recorded the highest number of infections since mid-April. Still, the most affected country in the world is the United States, where more than 7,300,000 people were positively diagnosed and nearly 210,000 Americans died of COVID-19. Ranked second and third are India, where the number of coronavirus-infected people has already exceeded 6 million, and Brazil.
The decades-long conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh has entered its second day of deadly clashes, claiming at least 29 lives. Armenia and Azerbaijan are talking about hundreds of casualties since Sunday when the fighting erupted. Both countries have imposed martial law and mobilized their populations, with Russia calling for an immediate ceasefire and Turkey saying it will back Azerbaijan. Many fear a broader regional conflict.
It has not been so dangerous in this region for years. Azerbaijani forces attacked Armenians along the so-called contact line. The authorities in Baku claim that they were provoked to do so. Armenia is an occupying country. This occupation must end. We will win. Karabakh is ours and Karabakh belongs to Azerbaijan. Nagorno-Karabakh is an enclave which actually formally belongs to Azerbaijan. However, it is inhabited and controlled by Armenians. The dispute over the area has lasted for the last 30 years and has already claimed about 30,000 victims. Although a ceasefire was signed in 1994, not much has changed. Artillery fire takes place every day. Soldiers are killed there every day. Each side is able to record dozens of violations of this truce every single day. The authorities of both countries imposed martial law and announced mobilization to the army. Our brother died in the war. We will also fight until the very end. In this conflict, superpowers also play a role. Turkey supports Azerbaijan, while Russia stands, let's call it, in such a position that they're actually leaning towards supporting Armenians. The South Caucasus is of strategic importance. Energy resources are transported through this region. The war on the brink of which we find ourselves could go beyond the South Caucasus and threaten the world's security. The international community must stop this situation. The world is watching the developments with concern.
Lack of cell phone coverage nowadays is almost unimaginable, and yet sometimes it happens. A village in the south of England used to be cut off from the world. This, however, changed when residents took the matter into their own hands.
Bauer Chalki is a village existing since the 13th century. 400 inhabitants live there, and it is located over a dozen miles from the famous Stonehenge stone circle, but is an unknown place for cell phone operators. They never arrived here, even though the 21st century has settled down for good. Why did this happen? The inhabitants are not asking anymore. They took the matter into their own hands and built a mobile network themselves. Maybe it's not that big, but at least it is reliable and efficient. The fans of one of the most famous bands in the history of popular music, the Beatles, have the opportunity to get closer to the legend. An auction of items that once belonged to members of the group is being prepared in London. Among the souvenirs are glasses of John Lennon. You have to reach deep into your pockets to become their owner. The estimated value is around £30,000. The zookeepers of Oakland Zoo in California must have extraordinary skills. They know, for example, how to make a pedicure to a giraffe. One pair of hands is not enough for such an operation, and you have to be really creative to encourage this majestic animal to remain calm and patient. Although all these efforts are for her own good, it is clear that giraffes deserve only what is best for them. It is located deep in the forest in the northeastern Carpathians in Romania. Although at first glance it looks like a forest hut, in fact this building houses a school. Probably the smallest one in Romania. The cottage is tiny, but inside there's everything that is necessary for conducting lessons. A blackboard, benches and colorful posters with alphabet. The classroom with 6 students measures only 12 square meters. Lessons are taught by one teacher who, regardless of the weather or season, has to travel 14 kilometers every single day. Techno music is not only for young people. Elderly people can also accept this kind of music, provided that they learn its secrets. In one of the nursing homes in Normandy, the residents have classes with a DJ. Slowly, step by step, he introduces elderly people to a world so far completely unknown to them. They enter it with some caution, but are not afraid of challenges. In the end, in their long lives, they face even tougher challenges.
Well, that was Techno for Seniors, and this is the end of our program. Tune in for the presidential debates live on tvp.info tomorrow night. I will see you again the day after. Good night.